Let's see what is trigger. A trigger in Salesforce it is a piece of code that runs automatically in response to custom events such as creating or updating a record. It helps automate tasks and keep data consistent across the platform. Next type of trigger. Before trigger. A before trigger in Salesforce is a type of trigger that runs before a record is saved to the database. It allows you to modify the value of field on the record and enforce business rules before it is saved. The changes made in a before trigger as are then saved to database. After trigger. After trigger is Salesforce is a type of trigger that runs after a record is saved to the database, allowing you to access and use the values in the record and perform additional actions based on those values. There are used various types of trigger events. Before insert, before update, before delete, after insert, after update, after delete, after undelete. Next, trigger concept variable. There are several variables and objects that are used in Salesforce triggers to access information about this record being proceed. Trigger new. A list of the new or updated records that have been inserted into the database. Trigger old. A list of the old version of the record before they are updated. Trigger new map. A map of a new or updated record where the key is record ID. Trigger trigger old map. A map of the old version of the record where the key is record ID. Trigger is insert. A boolean value that is true if the trigger was fired due to insertion of the new record and false if it was fired due to the update. Trigger is update. A boolean value that is true if the trigger was fired due to an update to a record and false if it was fired due to the insertion of a new record. Trigger is delete. A boolean value that is true if the trigger was fired due to the deletion of the record and false otherwise. Trigger size. An integer value that indicates the number of records that have been proceed in the trigger. These variables and object can be used in trigger to access information about the records being proceed and perform action based on the information. For example, you can use trigger new to access the values of the field on new or updated record and trigger old to access the value of the field on the old version of a record before it was updated.